The house was never supposed to sound this quiet. Not for Jelly Roll. Not for a guy whose entire life has been built on noise, crowds screaming lyrics back at him, tour buses humming through the night, phones buzzing non-stop with people who need something from him. But that night, the silence felt loud, deafening, because Bunnie Xo was gone. And what happened next sent his entire world into pure chaos. I know. Before you roll your eyes and think, here we go again, another overblown celebrity drama, hear me out. I've been reading through your comments on the last few videos, and I see some of you calling out the drama. Honestly, I get it. In a world full of scripted TV and AI-generated stories, it's hard to know what's real anymore. I felt the same way when I first saw this. I almost scrolled right past it. But then I started digging, really digging, into the actual footage, the timelines, the raw moments fans caught that weren't meant for headlines. And what I found genuinely shook me. Before we get into the heavy stuff, I'm doing this all for you guys to bring the truth to light, so please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. It's the only way we keep this space real, honest, and human. Because this isn't just about Jelly Roll being overwhelmed. This is about what happens when the one person who keeps you grounded disappears, even temporarily, and the cracks you've been hiding suddenly split wide open. If you've followed Jelly Roll for any amount of time, you already know this man doesn't pretend to be perfect. He's never sold the image of a polished, untouchable star. His entire rise was built on pain, mistakes, and brutal honesty. Long before the sold-out arenas and award show appearances, Jelly Roll was just Jason Deford, a kid bouncing between chaos and survival. Troubled youth, jail time, addiction, a life where every wrong choice felt like it was waiting to swallow him whole. Music wasn't just a dream for him. It was a lifeline, something to grab onto when everything else was slipping. And when he finally broke through, when the world started listening, he didn't suddenly become someone else. He brought all that baggage with him. The guilt, the shame, the fear that it could all disappear overnight. And then there was Bunnie Xo. If Jelly Roll was the storm, Bunnie was the anchor. The steady voice when his mind spiraled. The person who knew him before the fame, before the headlines, before the money. She didn't just marry the man, she married the mess, the trauma, the past that never fully lets go. Fans loved them because they didn't feel fake. They argued. They laughed too loud. They shared uncomfortable truths. They felt like that couple you know in real life who somehow makes it work against all odds. So when Bunnie suddenly stepped away, no constant posts, no familiar banter, no presence by his side, the internet noticed immediately. At first, people brushed it off. She's just busy. She's traveling. You'll read too much into everything. But then the footage started popping up. Jelly Roll on stage, missing cues. Jelly Roll snapping at his team. Jelly Roll posting late-night messages that felt off. Not dramatic, just heavy, like someone carrying weight they weren't built to carry alone. And that's when the chaos really started. TikTok went feral. Clips of Jelly Roll looking exhausted started circulating with captions like, "This man is not okay," and, "You can tell when a wife is the glue." One video hit millions of views overnight, zoomed in on his face mid-performance, with someone writing, "He looks lost without her." And the comments, brutal. Half the people showed compassion. The other half accused him of being weak. Twitter, yeah, I'm still calling it Twitter, turned it into a battlefield. One side was yelling, "Let men feel things," while the other side fired back, "He's a grown man, not a child." Someone even tweeted, "If your whole life falls apart because your partner leaves town, that's not love, that's dependency." That tweet alone sparked thousands of replies, people dragging their own relationships into the conversation like it was therapy. Reddit went darker. Threads popped up analyzing Jelly Roll's past, connecting dots that may or may not even belong together. People dug up old interviews, old lyrics, old confessions. One comment that kept getting upvoted said, "This is what happens when unresolved trauma meets sudden silence." Another said, "Bunnie didn't leave him. She stepped away so he'd finally face himself." And here's where things get uncomfortable. Because the chaos Jelly Roll was dealing with wasn't just external. It wasn't just fans talking. It wasn't just rumors. It was internal. The kind of chaos that creeps in when distractions disappear. When the person who normally absorbs your anxiety isn't there to soften the blow. Layer 1 of the truth is simple: Jelly Roll is overwhelmed. Fame didn't heal him. Success didn't erase the past. It just made the noise louder. Layer 2 cuts deeper. Bunnie has always been more than a partner. She's been his emotional translator. The person who knows when to step in before he implodes. Without her around, Jelly Roll had to sit with thoughts he usually outruns. And he didn't handle that well. People close to the tour noticed it first. Missed calls, shorter patience, moments where he'd just go quiet, staring off like he wasn't really there. One insider moment that fans caught on a live stream showed him pausing mid-sentence, swallowing hard, and saying, "I hate empty houses." That clip disappeared within minutes, but not before thousands screen recorded it. Ask yourself honestly, have you ever realized how much someone stabilizes you only after they're gone? Even for a short time. Layer 3 is where the internet really got it wrong. A lot of people assumed this was about control, about insecurity, about jealousy, but the reality seems to be the opposite. Bunnie didn't vanish because of drama. She stepped away for her own reasons, projects, personal space, maybe even self-preservation. And Jelly Roll supported that. Publicly, at least. Privately, that's another story. Supporting someone's growth doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean it doesn't expose wounds you thought were healed. And Jelly Roll has never pretended to be emotionally bulletproof. Layer 4 is the part that made longtime fans uneasy. Jelly Roll started leaning into old habits, not substances, but emotional ones. Isolation, self-blame, that voice in his head that tells him he's only worth loving when he's useful, when he's entertaining, when he's providing. One fan comment that stuck with me said, "When Bunnie's gone, Jelly Roll looks like he's back in survival mode." And honestly, that might be the most accurate take of all. But here's the part that truly broke the internet. Layer 5. The final layer. The thing no one expected. During one late night show, when the crowd was already emotional, Jelly Roll changed a lyric. Just one line. Most people missed it, but hardcore fans caught it instantly. Instead of singing about redemption, he sang about being scared of being left with himself. No announcement, no explanation, just that line, and that's when it clicked. This chaos wasn't about Bunnie leaving. It was about Jelly Roll realizing how much of his healing he outsourced to love instead of doing the work himself. That realization is terrifying, especially when millions of people are watching you unravel in real time. Now let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. How many of us do the same thing? How many of us hold it together because someone else is there to carry part of the load? And what happens when that safety net steps away? By the time Bunnie resurfaced publicly, the damage, and the growth, had already happened. She didn't come back to fix him. She came back to stand beside someone who had been forced to sit with his own reflection. Some fans celebrated, others stayed skeptical. Comments like, "This was all staged for attention," still float around. But if you really watch Jelly Roll now, something's different. Quieter, more intentional, less frantic. Sometimes chaos isn't a breakdown. Sometimes it's a reckoning. And maybe that's the real story here. Not that Jelly Roll fell apart without Bunnie Xo, but that he finally faced the parts of himself he'd been avoiding because she made it easier to survive. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think this chaos was a warning sign, or the beginning of real healing? And do you believe love should carry us, or challenge us? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading every single one.